Hello walkers, and welcome to Columbus, Montana on a very blustery day. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to take you around town and tell you a little bit about this place, and hopefully we'll just have a nice sunny winter morning. It's really warm for Montana in the winter. We're starting here, crossing the railroad tracks, headed north. This is actually Highway 78, and straight ahead would be Interstate 90, which goes east-west. We kind of look down here, the railroad station. Sorry to swing you around so much. There's the old depot down there. And you can see that if you go left, you would go up to Absaraki, and if you go straight, that's Repelji. I used to call it, well, it's not Repelji. I used to call it Repelji, and apparently it's called Rappelj, or pronounce that. I'm going to get through this busy intersection, hopefully, and then we can maybe hear me a little better. You can see the signs for 78 and 90. I'm going to cross here. Sometimes you got to do a little darting and running. We've got Yellowstone Bank here. And I'm going to be heading into the wind. I think I've got my microphone so it's sheltered. Hopefully it won't be picking up a lot of clothing sounds. It is blustery down in Livingston. Oh my gosh. We had 45 mile an hour sustained winds today. And I'm going to just walk over here and give you a better view of this downtown storefronts. Big timber. Well, first of all, let me just tell you my name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker, your virtual travel guide today. So yeah, it is blustery. Hopefully we'll get a little bit out of it once we get into the neighborhoods here. But I've been doing the secret word. I think I'm going to stop doing that. It's fun. I love giving shout outs to people, but I also have to keep track of all that and remember. And like today, I totally forgot to bring the little sheet of paper with all of you guys that have taken the time to listen for the secret word. And also last time, I forgot to even say the secret word. I get busy walking in my own head, talking, etc. But nevertheless, today I am going to take you around Big Timber, Montana. Population, I would say approximately 2,000 people, I think I read. The original, it's on the Yellowstone River, and it originally was a stagecoach stop along the Yellowstone, and its name was Sheep Dip. Of course, that's an agricultural reference to dipping sheep for, I think, for ticks and other parasites. And it's a really cool town. You go between Livingston and Billings, and we pass it all the time. But I hadn't really been into and driven around in here and explored it all until Traveling Mel got sponsored to do a little trip down to Red Lodge and around Stillwater County. And so we got down here and we were able to drive around, and I was surprised at how what a sizable town it is, and I shouldn't have been, because it's got hotels and restaurants and shops, and it's got a company called Montana Silversmiths. It's a jeweler that's been around forever. And it's a neat little town. So I'm gonna take you around today. It's, I mentioned it was originally called Sheep Dip, then they changed it to Stillwater, but there was another Stillwater in, I think, Minnesota or Wisconsin that was causing confusion around mail and etc. And so they came up with Columbus. And Stillwater is actually the name of the county, which we'll see some significance here, or some signs of that. And Columbus is the county seat. In fact, up ahead, we can see as we head north on 4th Street, the main drag there it's Highway 78, but it's also Pike Avenue. Anyway, you see the county seat, the courthouse up there. Oh my gosh, it's breezy. Some of the buildings in here. And yeah, I was driving out today we are east of Livingston where I live, and it was howling. In fact, they had the highway closed between where it goes through the wine glass area, the Rock Canyon, or I forget what the name of it is, but because of the wind, and one semi had already flipped over, and they were dealing with that. And that's not the first one this year. In fact, it seems like every year we get 2 or 3 semis that choose to ignore, there's the Columbus City Hall, choose to ignore the highway signs, and they go over. I think I've said that before on these videos. We're gonna walk up here on 1st Avenue. That was 4th Street north that we were heading up, and we are going up, oh my goodness, we are going up 1st Avenue to see some of these neighborhoods. When we were here before, we got to go into the Beartooth Museum, which is a local museum. It doesn't look like a whole lot from the outside, although it does have some outdoor living history type stuff, which we didn't actually get to go see, but they were kind of closed for the season, but you can call and maybe get an appointment to go in and visit. And the woman who was running it at the time gave us a tour, and it's a super cool little museum with lots of interesting things, including this sort of famous murder that happened here, and some of the mapping that went on, and a lot of the sort of just the historical nature of this area. And it is absolutely beautiful area. I can attest to that. Crossing 3rd Street. This looks like a new school they are building, maybe a grade school. I'm not entirely sure about that, but given the structure and the shape and the playground, I have to assume that is what is going on. This wind, I tell you, you get used to it, but it still can be a bit much at times. Yeah, that's a pretty nice looking school. Very nice. We will try to wend our way around back to the courthouse there. I mean, not the courthouse, the museum that I was referring to, the Beartooth Museum. And this is kind of gateway to places like Red Lodge and the north face of the Beartooth Range, which is absolutely beautiful. You head up from here to go up to the Stillwater, and there's a little town called Fishtail, Saraki, a few other little ones. Really beautiful area. If you're coming through here, I highly recommend it. I was also driving through here earlier, and I think it's going to be another couple blocks as we cross 2nd Street. A neat old mansion, and I actually, after fiddling with my phone enough and restarting it, I was able to get back online, found out the price, which I will reveal to you if you're in the area looking for a home. Housing prices, I know I say this almost every video, housing prices here in Montana in general have skyrocketed and have gone from relatively affordable, especially compared to big urban areas, to, I would say, equal to, in some areas, equal to major urban areas. Thousands of new people are moving here, and I understand why. I mean, I moved here, as I talked about, I think, in the Gallatin River Trail walk I did recently. Check that out. That was a fun one. Nice snowy riverside trail. Here's the Evangelical Church. But that was in 2003. And, you know, the world's changed a lot, but so has Montana, with remote working and telecommuting and all that fun stuff. All right, there's a little bit of a break from the wind. Whew. I know a lot of you, given the current situation, are in lockdown and quarantine, and I want to give you a shout out. Hang in there, keep a stiff upper lip, reach out to people to keep those human connections going, and keep on stepping, of course. Although I usually save that for last, and we are not even remotely close to being at the end of this, so we got a long way to go. We're coming up on Quarry Street, and so at the corner of 1st Avenue West and Quarry Street is this neat stone building. I looked it up, and I think it's about 2,700 or 3,000 square feet, which is probably part of that is the basement. $450,000 US, of course, which, I mean, if you look at it, is pretty amazingly affordable for something like that. Anywho, pretty neat building. And it's got a historical plaque. It's the Jacob House is what the sign says. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It also has that, looks like cinder block garage. And you can see kind of the rest of the town, the neighborhoods are kind of similar to this. There's a variety. These houses are a little older. That Jeep's seen better days. But I think this is pretty typical of a lot of smaller Montana towns. You got, you have that looks like a log kit house from back in the day. And you might have a log cabin, you might have an old farmhouse, you might have a little house where, let's walk down here on A Street. You know, this is a pretty small house. It looks like it's probably, I don't know, 700 square feet, 800 square feet. Hey there, pup dog. We used to live places and we just have dogs running around. And they were friendly. Yeah. Can I say hi? Yeah, you're a good dog. And perfectly friendly, not a problem. Of course, they'd leave their droppings around, but it just didn't seem to be a big deal. These days, you never see that. Partly because I think you've had some incidents where irresponsible dog owners have had aggressive dogs out, and you know, people get hurt, and that's not okay. But dogs like that just makes me happy. We used to keep our dog, try to keep her fenced up, the Labrador, and this is in North Carolina, and yet she always seemed to figure out how to get out of the yard. And we had a neighbor with a pool, and she'd come back all wet, smelling like chlorine. She'd gone out for an evening swim. So here's the rail line, and of course beyond that is the Yellowstone River. There is a boat ramp down to the left in a city park, and way up there, way upstream, is Livingston. So, and we've got riverside cabins here, which is a little place and a bike path too. You know, a place to come stay. You don't want to stay at a hotel, or there's campgrounds around. There's at least one hotel out by the highway, a McDonald's and a gas station, etc. Oh, here, this house is for sale too. I think it might be $370. I think it's pretty pricey. Might be it's $270. Not terribly big, but maybe it has a huge lot. I don't know. Pardon my sniffles. I'll try to adjust for that. So I think we said we're on A Street. We're gonna head back north a couple blocks, see if we can find the high school, which I'd try to, let me rephrase that. I don't really try. I should try. And I've gotten requests from people to do a little more research, do a little more planning. I do, however, oh, look at this little puppy, sorry. I do try to, I have been trying to, hi there, pup. There's a little golden retriever puppy, yeah. Cute as a little button. Yeah, yeah. Sorry for that distraction. Hi there, puppy. Hi there. No, too scary. Do a little more planning, do a little more research. So I was driving around, exploring, seeing what might be interesting, what I could find. So I'm not just flying too blind. And I did find the high school. I think it's the high school. Now I just got to remember where it was. I was listening to the radio of the I have to be careful about what I say because I don't want to trigger any YouTube politics filters. Basically about the doings in Washington, the U.S. Congress deliberations. And then I had to turn that off because unpleasant. Love these old houses. These seem to be older. I was talking about the mix of homes, cut down a little bit. And so you've got one, I would say that's 40 years or 50s, maybe later. And then this one's probably older. And we're crossing 2nd Avenue on A Street. And the reason I call those out are, of course, people are trying to follow along on their maps sometimes. So up here on the corner is a dog in their yard. And it's another golden. That's the 3rd golden retriever that I've seen on this walk in the last 10 minutes. So a lot of herding dogs in Montana. Over more closer to western Montana, you might see more Airedales, actually, which is kind of interesting. Here's a old Golden's sunning itself. Coming up on 3rd, West 3rd Avenue. And giving a wave to someone out on their porch. It's a very pleasant, head down here on 3rd. Little town, you know, it's fairly quiet. I think it's a fairly conservative town, but it's usually generally a mix in all of these places. And a lot of ranching in the area. And of course, there's the Stillwater mine up the Stillwater River. That employs a lot of people. A little bit of tourism, I think. Probably people might commute to Billings, sorry. Good morning, sir. Good, thanks. You? Love nice people. Just coming up on a little park on Quarry Street. And there looks like the school on the other side of the park, maybe. I mean, as things go, not the most exciting thing to see, but it is, I think it's interesting. I'm gonna make a left here on Quarry. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to continue on here because I think I have to go down 3 or 4 blocks before I can go east again. Fun little park, some kids out playing on the basketball court, tennis court. Oh, well, looks like I could have cut over. Oh well. Maybe I will do that just because I want to show you over here. There's a pool. A lot of these towns have a public pool. They fill up in the summer. Of course, this year has been a little different. For those of you not in the U.S., American football, or as we call it, football, is pretty popular sport for, professionally, but also for high schools and small kid leagues, youth leagues. It's not nearly as popular here as in Texas. It's big doings down there, but it is fun and it is popular. Some of these small towns, and I don't know what this town is, but they'll do 8-man football, so 8 aside, and a lot of times the players will play both offense and defense, which is unusual in modern times. But you can see the football field up here, which I would assume is going to also be used for soccer, or European football. The Columbus High School, and I forget what they're called. It's kind of a neat modern field. Cats. I don't know what kind of cats. Nevertheless, kind of fun. And one of the reasons I wanted to come up here, I think this is 4th, is because 4th, I think maybe Carr, is where the Beartooth Museum is, and I thought we'd go walk around over there real quick. It's getting warm now. We're out of the wind. It's 50 degrees. I started this around 11 a.m. It's usually say this all at the beginning, but that wind was distracting. 11 a.m. and it is mid-January. Very warm temperatures. You have a little snow here, but very warm temperatures for this time of year. Apparently they've gotten normal amount of snow out on the west side of the state, but here in the middle, south middle, it's been pretty dry. We had a couple early snows and then not much since. So this does not bode well for the summer, but who knows, we could get a ton of snow in the spring or later this month. Who knows? I hiked the M Trail a couple weeks ago, which I filmed for you guys. And I remember the first or second year I was here, 2000, we call that 4 or 5. I was hiking the M Trail in, I think it was January or February, and people were in shorts. It was so warm. Although climate-wise, I think it's been I think the 9 of the last 10 years have been the warmest ever. A series of record temperatures, which is not good, obviously. Coming up on, so this is the high school, the Columbus Middle School. Surely on the other side of that is the high school. Yeah, that must be the high school. A lot of these schools are connected to each other because of where's that museum? I think I might have to go down another block for the museum. Should we do that? Let's do that, and then we'll come back to get a closer look of the county courthouse. You can also up ahead see the big white C on the side of the mountain that stands for Columbus. That's a kind of a tradition out west here. Switch hands. Coming up on 5th. Got a really nice school. Nice and modern, expansion and renovation. It says it's opening in 2021. I wonder where they are now. Well, it is 2021 and there are people there, so maybe that'll do. All right, up here I think we have the fairgrounds off to the left, and I'll show you those as we have the wind at our back again. Beautiful sunny day. At least we have that. Although it sure was at the Usal Falls Trail. That was a really nice snowy day. And beautiful walk. Up to see the ice frozen falls, etc. I think this over here to the left you have barns and other places for the county fair, which if you're not from the States is usually generally an agricultural kind of fair, and they will have a lot of 4-H, which I forget what the H's stand for, horticulture, husbandry, a couple others. A lot of 4-H kids will show their prize animals. They'll have some skills tests, maybe herding dogs here, animal handling, that sort of thing, and maybe a rodeo, and maybe so you got the 4-H, then you have FFA, which stands for Future Farmers of America, and it's really kind of a fun thing. Sometimes they'll bring in rides, sometimes they'll have food, other fun things, some music, entertainment. Pretty neat experience. In fact, last year, if you go to Traveling Mel channel, which is my wife's channel, last year, 2019, we were in Scotland in the, I don't know the counties, but kind of west of Aberdeen, south of the Moray coast, and we went to this Highland festival, and it wasn't a big national thing, it was just a local thing, and they had kids dancing, and they had some Highland games, some, what do they call that, a tabor or a caber toss, and a weight toss. Everybody's in kilts, and they had food and all sorts of fun. It was super cool to see that kind of cultural fair again, but in a different country. So here's the museum off the left, and I'm going to duck down this other street, which I thought was Carr, but not. And you can see Museum of the Beartooth, and they've got some signs up there about opening hours and that sort of thing. And I'm just going to duck down here to show you the outdoor things that they have, some old cabins and railroad cars and that sort of thing. And then we'll head back down to find the courthouse. So up ahead, maybe you can see some of the trucks and cars going across the I-90, and off to the left you have the outdoor section of the museum. So there is a Super 8 motel out by the highway as well. I don't know if I mentioned that as well. I think a Big Sky Hotel or something. And then beyond here is a city park with a playground if you need to burn energy off your kids on a road trip. So, and you can see that's the highway exit. Beyond there you see the McDonald's arches and the gas station. All right, back into the wind. And it's not far from the interstate. If you're on a road trip and you don't want to just get fast food, It's not far from the interstate into town. I mean, it's like 2 minutes, and definitely worth a stop. Then you can find one of the local cafes or other restaurants. Or if you need grocery stores, there is a grocery store here, a couple. There's a Family Dollar out by the highway, and then there's this other big one that we'll probably see if we keep going straight here. I get a lot of people asking about the cameras I use, and this particular camera, I try to shout this out every time, is the GoPro 8, and it is connected to it's called a Scotty Makes Micro Pro 2, and as well, and I've got a counterweight attached to it as well, and a little external battery plugged into the GoPro, and then I got a new 256 gigabyte card, which should give me about 5 hours of record time, because I had 64 and it was always like I'd record 45 minutes or so, and then there just wasn't enough for another walk. Kind of a nice house. So we're coming back on 4th, and this is actually, we're on 5th Street, not Carr. Sorry about that. Hate to mislead you. We're gonna bang her right here towards the courthouse. Kind of a neat old building, probably about 100 years old, maybe a little more. I think I mentioned how beautiful it is to the south of here along the northern range of the Beartooth, and also if you go up into the Stillwater, which is the northern side. Beautiful up there, some great hiking trails, great dude ranches, I think, and rivers, and etc. This is Labey Street that we're going to cut across after we get a look at the courthouse. I don't know what that style of building is. Turn of the century, maybe. Looks like it's probably the teens or 20s, maybe the 30s. I don't think we'll see the cornerstone with the date on it. Big spruce trees. So the DAV is the Department of, I think, American Veterans, which says it's U.S. government, but I thought it was Veteran Affairs. Anyway, the last 20 years of conflict, there are a lot of veterans that need our support. Come home and make sure they're not forgotten. And I think we're going 4th now, or 3rd. And we're gonna make a right on 5th. I always am a little curious why communities, pardon me, do that. They have like 4th Street and 4th Avenue crossing. It seems a little confusing to people like me, but I don't live here, so maybe it's not a problem. Up ahead you can see the, I think it's an Albertsons, but I could be wrong. It could be something else. It's a grocery store. I think it is something else. Tricked ya. These kind of buildings here, they're kind of neat. They have, they're stone buildings made out of rocks they pulled out of the river. And you can see they're smooth and round. That's the kind of, the kind of rocks that are in the Yellowstone for the most part, at least along the bed. millennia and millennia of abrasion and polishing. Neat fifth wheel RV trailer or caravan, I guess you might call that. If you're not familiar with that kind of thing, in the States they have these, and that goes in the bed of a pickup truck, that hitch part, instead of to the bumper. It's so warm, I just saw a kid ride by in shorts and a t-shirt on his bicycle. Okay, so this grocery store is actually an IGA Plus. That stands for International Grocer Association. And I think they're employee owned, which is kind of cool. And I think, well, we'll cross over, go through the parking lot here, and see what we can see on the other side, just because there's a neat old building up there. It looks like an old garage. Sorry to be steering you straight into the sun. That makes the camera make the darks really dark as it tries to compensate for the nuclear fusion at the center of our solar system. The wind is grabbing the camera and kind of knocking it around a little bit. Maybe we can get in the lee of those buildings and it'll be a little bit better. Maybe in the shadow too. How nice would that be? So I think this should be second here. Try to cross over. Another fifth wheel trailer. And I'm going to go back in this little alley because, you know what? Why not? Kind of cool. Plus, we get to see the back of these old stone buildings that are much older. I think what I read online said 1870 was the origin of sheep dip or big timber. It wasn't a big entry, but it was interesting. Short and sweet. Sometimes it's fun just to walk the alleys anyway. This is the Yellowstone Bank drive-through window here. Love how everybody's happy and waves. Got some tumbleweed type stuff there. I don't think it's actual tumbleweed, but it's tumbling around, so who knows. All right, we're coming back to Pike Street here, and kind of where we started. We started just ahead of there. You see the flags in the distance maybe, and that is at the Montana Silversmith Factory, the jewelry store I talked about. We've got the Napa Auto Parts over here on the left. That's kind of a requisite for these small rural towns. Good auto parts store. And then I think that's going to do it for us. Thanks guys for joining us today. Give us a like, a thumbs up. I haven't gotten into how much I enjoy, loud, how much I enjoy your comments. I've gotten some really good ones, and I'm going to say this on my next walk too, but as I meant to say at the beginning, I had somebody call me, I love this. This is one of the best comments I've gotten. One of the best. He called me the Bob Ross of walking videos. I thought that was a hoot. Huge compliment. I get a lot of other videos about people telling me how they've been using these videos and how it's been helping them. And that really is super rewarding for me, and I really appreciate it. I love hearing them, so keep those coming. Take care of yourselves, hang in there, guys, and we'll see you next time. Until then, keep on stepping.